quarter, you know, they put 31 on us, and it was the way they play. Everything was in the paint, at the rim. It was either individual defense or our pick and roll defense. And then I thought after that, for the last, you know, 3 quarters, even though they had 27 in the third, some of that to me was the fouling, you know, when they got into the bonus and we played better. And offensively, you know, we were here and there, which is a little bit what we've been. That's what we're going to work on. But obviously, the story of the game was the bench play. Both halves. The energy level, when those guys went in the game, they picked up our defense. We really played offense off our defense, which is, especially early in the year, sometimes more what you have to do. So they ended up playing longer minutes than they may some night because they were playing so well. You know, we just kind of went with them. And so it's a good, you know, it's a good way to start. Now the biggest thing is it's our attitude about it. You know, can we win and have the right attitude to watch from the film? Because there's certainly a lot of things that we'll need to get back.
Cliff, do you remember that sequence where Terrence had a couple of blocks, Mo had a block, and then he finished with a dunk on the other end? Does that kind of symbolize that energy you were talking about from the bench?
No question. Yeah, no question. And it started with, you know, with them, I mean, so much of it is having a chance to control the ball. You see, they drive the ball, they cut when they drive, and the ball is constantly going in the paint. And, you know, you're not going to prevent them from doing it. Like I said, they were top 5 last year, and I think 5th in drives into the paint, I think 6th in paint touches. But we did better as the game went on, which is, you know, it's a good sign. They're not an easy team to play against, you know.
Steve, to what degree was the grit, the energy, really providing the roadmap for the way your team needs to play in order to?
Yeah, no question. I mean, I think that, you know, I mean, I think all the good teams, right? I mean, the best NBA teams, when you play 82 games, you're going to watch those teams, you're going to say they have a spirit. You know, they have a togetherness, you know, however it is. And you know, I think that it's in that locker room. And then, you know, tonight, being down 14 early, we did lose our poise. And then, like I said, those guys on the bench did a good job of using the defense to get the offense to get us back in the game.
Steve, the contributions of Mo and how the moment was clearly not too big for him, and even knowing exactly what to do when you put him in to defend the last inbound from Dwayne. Is he just ahead of where we think rookies typically are? What is so? I mean, he just did not seem at all fazed by first NBA game.
I think he's very poised. I mean, I think that's his nature when you're around him, and you know, he's also. I mean, I think the one thing that people will see as they play him more, and if you watch him play in college, you'll see it. He's not big yet, you know, obviously, like he's a thinner guy, but he doesn't shy away from physicality, you know. So one of the games I watched at Texas was at Kansas, you know, with a big, strong guy. And, you know, it was hard for him, and yet he didn't shy away from that. So I think there's sometimes, you know, physical appearance doesn't tell the whole story, because he certainly, you know, there's a lot there besides, you know, his length and his wingspan. I mean, he's very bright, very confident. I mean, he competes hard.
You never want to get a late lead back, but what does it say about this group, especially the younger guys, that they handled that the way they did and they were able to close out, especially on the defensive end?
Yeah, we had a couple good defensive possessions, and we got also, I mean, we got a little unlucky with that jump ball, you know, which could have been. You know, could have turned the game around, but I mean, it was really an extra effort play by Vooch, and just, you know, kind of got unlucky with the ball. I think going over either Jaren's head or Evan's head. But oh no, there was a lot late. You know, we did have the one bad turnover against pressure, but again, we haven't done a lot of that yet, to be honest with you. You know, like. Because of the newness, we haven't done as many special situations as we should have. So, you know, we need to better prepare for that too.
Steve, you hear players get big contracts and maybe they can rest on their laurels. Aaron Gordon, 26-16. What did you think of his performance?
Yeah, I mean, you know, like the guys off the bench certainly brought energy. I mean, he made the most plays offensively in that stretch. This is without watching the film, but I mean, he was the shot maker. And the other guys did a good job, and I think they got the defense going, but he was in the middle of the big stretches in terms of scoring.
Mike?
Coach, you said earlier today that game one is as important as game 82. How important was game one in getting your first victory?
No, it's great. I mean, and you know what? It's a happy locker room. I think that it's important. I mean, I don't think it's, they say, like, you know, a must win or something, but certainly to when you win, it gives you confidence. When you beat a team like them who are hard to play against and it's hard fought, it makes you feel good about yourself. And now the big thing, you know, and I think we're going to do this because of the way that we've been practicing, is we have to come in tomorrow because obviously, again, there's a lot wrong. We have to watch it. We have to try to fix it and play better on Friday.
Coach, we're crashing the offensive boards, a message you gave the guys early, because your team came out kind of cold, but you had a huge advantage, 16-6 in the first half, second chance points. I think it ended up 28-13. How big was that for your team to manufacture some points early on when some shots weren't falling?
Oh, usually, and I think that was a lot. I believe that was Aaron Gordon. I think a lot in the first quarter. Every team, you know, you need those like effort, energy points. We need to get more fast break points. We got to get the ball going up and down the floor and be more organized early in transition. But I believe for years, offensive rebounding was not a big indicator of good play in this league. And now with the 5 out and 4 out, 1 in, offensive rebounding is becoming more and more important. And we have got Jonathan Isaac, you know, AG, Mo's a good offensive rebounder, and some other primitive. I think Terrence Ross can get some offensive rebounds, where we need to be able to both get offensive rebounds and not give up fast break points, which is possible to do. And I think for our team, that's important.
Steve, the key momentum shifting plays, the grit, the energy, does that kind of collective spirit, does that travel on the road in 41 games, or how tough is it to replicate when you play away from home?
Well, that's what we're going to find out. You know, I think the best teams, what they do. You know, you guys remember the team when I was here with Stan. You know, the thing that we were good at with those guys is we had a way we played, and we played that way. Home run didn't matter against the better teams, against the teams that maybe weren't quite as good. But we had a way to play, and we played that way every night. And that's what the best teams do. And again, grit, energy level, togetherness, spirit, whatever, that has to be a part of your game. And, you know, if it will travel, then we'll have a chance to be a good team. And if it won't, then we'll be in trouble on the road.
Go ahead.
At one point tonight, he tried to counter your long lineup with Bam Adebayo and Hassan Whiteside at the same time. They managed to go on a run against you guys, but is that something you kind of want to do with these longer lineups, as force teams to play funky 2 big man lineups in a league that's been getting smaller?
Yeah, I mean, that as much as anything, I mean, I bet, you know, a lot of guys obviously have had an impact on me, but Stan obviously, and one of Stan's biggest things was you've got to find the way to put your best players on the floor as much as you can. That's what led to Rashard Lewis with Turkoglu. You know, when he first did that, you know, people thought we were crazy. You know, playing 2-3 men. People forget, Rashard came here, and one of his requirements was he didn't want to play the 4. And Stan had a talk with him, and Rashard's like, if that's what we need to win, I'll play the 4. And to me, Vooch and Mo are 2 of our best players. And, you know, we need to find ways to play them together. San Antonio does it. They play Gasol with Aldridge. And there's things that we can do, and it's a work in progress. I mean, there's things that we have to get better at, but we're going to do that. We're going to do that. You have to have ways, you know, again, to play your best players and then 2 of our best players.
And Chris, last question.
Cliff Mo hit that 3 in the third quarter. Just seemed to really, I mean, he was confident in hitting that 3, but it seemed to even more confidence, more aggressiveness carried over to the rest of the team and the fourth quarter.
And it was tied, you know, when he did that. And that put us up 3, and I think that was the first basket when I think we went like 9-2 or something right there. And that was the first basket. I think Aaron had a couple of shots. But again, without watching the film, Mo had a tip in that stretch too. So it was a key part of the game, and he was right in the middle of it.
Good. Thank you.